Thank you, Steve. I do what I do because I believe that access to justice for all is a core value of our society. But for almost 1 out of 6 Minnesotans, legal aid is their only hope for access to justice in civil matters. And they are the people who are already feeling the impact of this recession the most. The governor has said that everybody has to feel some of the impact of the budget crisis, but that's already happened to legal aid and our clients. Even in better times, 6 years ago, legal aid resources were not enough to meet even half of the critical legal needs of low-income Minnesotans in areas like safety, food, clothing, shelter, access to medical care. And today, legal aid's capacity is down another 10% even from those better days. But here's the real catch-22. Cutting legal aid's funding won't help the court system, and it won't save the taxpayers money. Legal aid saved $5 million in court time last year. If we didn't exist, the judicial system would have to invent us to increase its efficiency. Over 3,000 legal aid cases were settled pre-trial or out of court or screened out for lack of merit. Only 10% of our cases go to a full hearing. Cutting legal aid will make the court system's problems worse, not better. And that's not the only way cutting legal aid will hurt the taxpayers. If legal aid is cut, domestic violence will go up. National domestic violence statistics over 10 years show that access to legal aid reduced the probability of someone being battered. Domestic violence has a huge cost to the taxpayers, and it increases as the economy worsens. Legal aid obtains approximately $4 million a year in new child support orders. Almost all of that child support goes to reimburse the government for tax-supported public assistance. If legal aid is cut, more people will be homeless. Legal aid helps thousands of people caught up in the mortgage foreclosure crisis. Many homeless families wind up in taxpayer-funded shelters. Legal aid saves the government about $4 million a year in tax-supported shelter costs by preventing homelessness in over 2,600 cases a year in Minnesota. All of these problems will just get worse for the taxpayers if legal aid gets cut.
Judge and gentlemen, we have time maybe for 1 or 2 questions. Judge, can the judicial system simply cut programs to save money?
Well, the main problem that we can't do that is we don't have programs. Our budget is about 92% people, about 8% of it's paper, computers, the things we do to make our decisions. I explain to people that, frankly, we run a retail operation. People come to us with problems. We try to decide those problems one at a time. As Jerry mentioned, we need lawyers to help us with that. We do better when the system provides us with the tools to make better decisions. But we can't simply tell the cases to go away, although that is what we're faced with doing with this budget cut. We don't know where they're going to go.
Gentlemen, legal aid, public defender, can your lawyers simply handle more cases per lawyer?
Well, already the public defenders in Minnesota are handling just about double the ABA standards for public defense. They're handling about the equivalent of 800 misdemeanor cases a year from start to finish. We have 300 part-time public defenders in the small towns in Minnesota, and they contributed last year 40,000 hours where they didn't get paid for. So I don't see how they can take more cases. There's certain parts of representing a client that you just have to do, and it takes time, and we need the people to do it.
We're in the same boat in terms of not just being able to expand our capacity. We're already doing everything we know how to do to make the most efficient use of our resources. We have materials online to help people learn how to avoid problems or solve them without the need for a lawyer. But there's just no way to do more with less.
We have a few seconds left. Will budget cuts in your areas affect public safety?
Absolutely. Homelessness and domestic violence are public safety issues, and they will get worse.
John?
Juvenile court is the early warning system for society. If we lose the ability to handle cases early in juvenile court, a lot of kids will not get the intervention that they need.
Judge?
And I agree with what they both said. The additional thing is that we know that the so-called broken window theory of justice works, of policing. and we're not going to deal with broken windows.
I want to thank you, gentlemen, for being on the panel today. We have Judge Johnson, we have Jerry Lane, and John Stewart. I want to thank you not only for being on the panel, but there are fundamental rights of every American for people to have their day in court, to have their cases heard in a timely fashion, and to seek justice from the courts. For what you do in the courtroom, Judge, John, and Jerry, thank you.